Good morning and welcome to the 4th Diagnostic Leadership Summit. We are now heading into the panel discussion on rapid diagnostic kits market, scope, challenges, and opportunities. We are delighted to welcome Dr. Varsha Vadera, Head Laboratory Medicine and Advanced Diagnostics, Kokilaben Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital. Welcome, ma'am. Dr. Shalu Kapoor, Chief Pathologist and Senior DGM, SRL Fortis Escorts Heart Institute. Welcome, ma'am. Dr. Hariom Sharma, Laboratory Director, Laboratory Scientist, Surti Hospital, who will be the speaker today. Thank you, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Rohit Chawla, Professor, Department of Microbiology, Maulana Azad Medical College and Associated Hospital. Welcome, sir. Dr. Monica Shashank, AVP Operations and Lab Director, Vimta Laboratories Limited. Welcome, ma'am.
Good morning. Welcome.
Dr. Neeta Munshi, Consultant and Advisor Laboratory and Quality Assurance, Ruby Hall Hospital. Welcome, ma'am. And Dr. Manoj Chugh, Vice President, R&D Legend, Transasia Biomedicals Limited. Welcome, sir.
Good morning.
I now hand over to Dr. Hariom Sharma discussion forward.
Okay. Thank you, Kanchi. A very good morning to all the panelists and the audience who is attending today's session, which is on rapid diagnostic kit market, scope and opportunities. Before we move ahead, I want to thank Team Elets for creating such a wonderful platform in the present times where we cannot stop ourselves due to a pandemic, and we are over an electronic platform to share our knowledge and the experience and expertise that we have gathered over the period of time. I also want to thank the organizing team here, Ms. Nikki and Kanchi Chawla, for doing all the needful to allow us to interact today. Thank you. As we are going to discuss on this rapid diagnostic kit market opportunity challenges, I want to give just a brief note on this point. What the data says on that the current market of rapid diagnostic kits and POCT is somewhere around 40 to 45 billion US dollars, and in coming 5 years it is expected to be double, nearly double. So that shows this segment has very big potential in terms of business. At the same time, it is going to make a big difference in the rapid in response but reliable in result kind of approach to not only to the hospital near the bedside for patient care, but to many individuals staying in rural areas as well, and they can get the similar quality of diagnostic services as their counterparts in the cities and metros. So the greatest example of this point of care and rapid diagnostic kit is the diagnosis of COVID-19 that could be made possible due to the POCT and the rapid diagnostic kits, and it was very well used. Data has made everyone very clear that laboratories are the frontliners, and they are as good as important as the clinicians in the healthcare delivery system and the management. So thanks to such wonderful kit formulations and their marketing done by various leading companies. So I would just sum up that the ideal rapid diagnostic point of care test used in resource limited settings should fulfill the following criteria: that it should allow a quick clinical decision. This can be used by healthcare workers and also by non-professionals. And in terms of finance, it should be affordable, rapid, and acceptable test efficiency and cost effective. We have very wonderful panelists here. I would like to welcome Dr. Manoj Chugh, Dr. Neeta Munshi, Dr. Varsha Vadera, Dr. Shalu Kapoor, Dr. Rohit Chawla, Dr. Manoj Chugh, and Dr. Monica Shashank. I'm sorry I repeated. So first of all, I want to introduce Dr. Manoj Chugh, who is Vice President, Research and Development, the reagent segment for TransAsia Biomedicals Limited. Dr. Chugh, Would you like to enlighten us that how we can define the existing business environment for the market of rapid diagnostic kits? Over to Dr. Cho.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Sharma. At the first outset, let me extend my sincere thanks to organizers for including me with this esteemed panel of pathologists. Some of them are friends and customers for years. Moving along, the global impact of COVID 19 has been unprecedented and staggering, with POCT witnessing a positive demand. Global market, as you said, reached 45 billion US dollars in 2022, but for your information, it grew like 86.9% from pre-pandemic levels in these 2 years. Global market stands close to 45 billion now, but it is expected to grow with minus 2% year on year CAGR because of pandemic if it ends. Sudden fall is expected. However, it is still a significant amount, and in next 2028, we are expecting it to be around 55 billion US dollars. For the larger interest of the customers, I would like to enumerate some of the advantages of POCT. As you said, it is evolving. However, overall performance is satisfactory at the moment. It reduces a lot of complications associated with mistreatment and also adverse consequences. It helps address the shortage of skilled professionals, as you already indicated. I would like to highlight its major use. What I see is it can help us in antibiotic stewardship and it can control infections. If we can develop good POCTs to identify microorganisms, it will definitely help in rationalizing the antibiotic usage. It will reduce ED visits as well as hospital length of the stays. I say just like telemedicine and telepathology, home diagnostics is still at a very nascent stage and lacks penetration at the moment. But this is bound to change as people have already understood the convenience of these home-based tests. I think we have no option left but to bring testing closer to the patients. Not only at the bedside, I believe testing at ICUs, at clinicians' offices, ambulances, primary healthcare centers, it could be really, really rewarding. In a nutshell, I can say I can visualize a clear shift from outmoded processes of lab testing to POCT. As we say, adapting is the only way to survive. Thank you, Dr. Zavla. Thank you, Dr. Sharma.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So one point that I think I could think on your note is: do we think once the pandemic will be over, will there be a decline in the market cap
Yeah,
of POCT or rapid diagnostic kits?
yeah. Several agencies like McKinsey have suggested like 2% negative growth from year 22 till 2028. But still, as I said, it still has significant market around 50 to 55 billion US dollars, which is expected by 2028.
Okay, wonderful. So other panelists, please your opinion on these points.
Can I?
Please, yeah, Dr. Munshi, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As the pandemic is receding, what happens is that you will get decrease in the rapid tests for COVID. But at the same time, people who have been now sitting at home are now going out, they are traveling, they are, going back to the normal activities. And therefore, the other rapid diagnostic tests are taking over. For example, diabetes, for that, we have the glucose test and the POCT for that, and other respiratory disorders. So that happens. So I don't think there will be any great difference in the revenue of RD, rapid diagnostic tests. Maybe COVID will come down, but the others will take place, which at the moment they were all sitting at home. So there was not much of hospitalization and no traveling. So things were much stable. But now with everything going back to normal, I think we will need to have the same revenue from rapid diagnostic tests.
I would add the same thing. I would say that the scope of testing has to expand beyond the COVID pandemic. COVID pandemic pointed out to the use and overuse use of rapid diagnostic kits. But then we had the influenza, we've had so many infectious diseases, we have serological tests. So we do go beyond the COVID testing to infectious diseases. We don't know what other viruses will be thrown our way, what
Yeah.
other organisms will come our way, and that will promote industry to come out with newer rapid diagnostic kits. But in the meantime, we have a lot of syrup. We use it for dengue, we use it for malaria, we use it for a lot of infectious diseases. And so it will be going on. And the demand for the rapid diagnostic kits from the clinician side is huge. They want testing in the ICU, they want testing in the ER. And that is what is going to really push the market, and business opportunity will remain. Maybe the scope of testing may change. Thank you.
Can I come in over
I
here?
would like to add, yeah. The point
Yes,
is
madam.
that the fastest growing segment, according to me, in the coming years will be the molecular diagnostics. The segment of the molecular diagnostics that is going to rise over the years. So point of care testing, this segment is going to definitely rise, as we have seen in the in the pandemic also, and definitely this there will be growth in this segment. And we cannot deny that the point of care testing, of course, there might be, and along with that, glucose testing and of course the routine diagnostic tests
Yes.
have been, there has been reduction and decrease because of the pandemic. Even the routine tests also, there was a drop because the patients were not getting tested because of the COVID and all. So there will be definitely increase in the point of care testing. And secondly, smartphone based IVDs, as well as wearables based digital platforms, we cannot deny that they are also going to increase in the years to come. So these kind of point of care testing are the opportunities of growth which we can which are going to have a increase in, and these are the areas where I see a growth in the point of care testing field actually.
Yes, I think
And
very well said,
yeah,
Dr. Shalu. Yes,
so I
madam.
also echo with Dr.
Can I
Shalu
come in?
that molecular diagnostic is definitely going to take a place in uh, faster diagnosis. Together
Yeah.
with AI and machine learning, these are the two tools which are being used rapidly in COVID-19 testing, and the people have come up to the understanding and knowledge how they can be helpful in defining the algorithm-based testing also. So yes, POCT definitely will be the future, and rapid diagnostics will take one way or other for in the diagnostic industry now.
Perfect. I think we can also
Okay.
add the HIV testing here. We can also add
Yeah.
tuberculosis and
Yeah.
Yeah,
lot many
infectious
infectious
disease.
diseases. So
Yeah, absolutely,
I
that is
think
the
the
I
point,
largest
think
segment
Dr. Sharma,
definitely.
yeah,
yes.
Yeah,
Dr. Sharma,
So the
infectious.
just one
point which
point I
comes
would like
out
to,
is the future is bright as far as the rapid diagnostics is concerned, and research and development can be the main driving
Key.
force behind creating the new kits for lot many battery of tests. So
Yeah.
thank
Exactly.
you very much on this first note, and in the sequence to our discussions, I would like to invite Dr. Neeta Munshi, madam. She is consultant and advisor for laboratory and quality assurance for the Ruby Hall hospitals. And, madam, it would be very nice if you could add to our existing knowledge regarding the various drivers contributing towards the growth of rapid diagnostic market. Over to you, madam, Dr. Munshi.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. The drivers for growth can be divided into various segments. Like Dr. Shalu mentioned earlier, IVDs, that is in vitro diagnostics, mainly in biochemistry, hematology, and coagulation, is one scheme where the drivers, we already have ABG and electrolytes, we have glucose monitoring, but we can add, and there can be a scope of much more. The drivers are going beyond the scope of routine biochemistry to add creatinine, to add microalbumin creatinine ratio, HbA1c, etc. Then the second is critical care monitoring and emergency life supports, where, as I mentioned earlier, they do want all the rapid diagnostic and POCTs placed within the intensive care, coronary care, emergency departments. And it includes even ECG, defibs, pulse oximeters. So beyond the lab scope, they want a lot of POCTs and point of care testing, rapid diagnostic kits. Then, of course, molecular diagnostics, as Dr. Shalu mentioned, is going to be a huge scope for testing. And just as we have seen during the COVID pandemic, apart from COVID, SARS-CoV-2 testing, the antigen testing, the antibody testing that we've been doing, we are going to be extending it to many more molecular tests. And then, of course, the serological tests, like you mentioned earlier. So the serological tests are huge, and we've already had HIV, HBsAg, HCV. Then we have the pregnancy test, we have the rapid malaria, we have typhoid, we have chikungunya, leptospira, Ebola. We have the works in serological testing. So the drivers for growth mainly is that rural India or rural parts of any country, we can offer quick diagnosis, correct treatment, where they don't have microscopes, where they don't have expertise. We will be able to provide them the correct diagnosis with proper treatment because of the rapid diagnostic kits. And they say that serological tests are very useful to the surveillance. So that would also help as far as the growth potential. So these I would consider as the drivers for growth as far as rapid diagnostic kits are concerned. Thank you.
There are there's a broad spectrum of diseases where the rapid diagnostic can outreach to the rural population of India. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, the house is open for discussion.
Yeah. Maybe I can add the key players entry. Like it will definitely improve patient centric care and launch of advanced testing kits with key players. For example, I would name Diabetomics. They introduced Lumella POCT for preeclampsia of pregnant women. Like they were detecting glycosylated fibronectin.
Yeah.
It was in February 2019. Since then, Abbott introduced Afinion, the HbA1c diagnostic assay, which is US FDA approved. So I feel entry of these key players will definitely propel the market growth for POCT.
Absolutely. I would add that the diabetic OPDs in most hospitals and clinicians' OPDs do test HbA1c with glucose, and they want to do it in their OPD because then they can give immediate treatment to the patient based on the HbA1c. The patient doesn't have to come back for the report.
Even for HIV, like UNAIDS suggested, like till date, 38 million people are living with HIV. So this segment is always going to be there.
Yeah, in addition to that, rapid diagnostics
You
is
are
also
audible
available.
now, Dr. Chu. Please, yeah, madam.
Okay, so sir, I would like to add that in addition to that, there are hormone assays which are available on the strips now for ovulation monitoring, for premenopausal status also. So this is also one of the area where the diagnostic is evolving. In addition, cancer screening tests are coming up. Western countries are working towards those devices and those tests where we can find oral cancer screening methodologies. Some sample types are being evaluated where you don't need to have an invasive methodology for getting the blood samples. It can be available from saliva, urine. So this definitely that focus of industry is towards the rapid diagnostics in one way or other.
And also
Yeah, can I
adding to
come
it
in
is
over
the
here?
novel
Yes, please.
Yeah, adding to it is the novel technologies and the research which is going on lab on chip. These type of things is also going to definitely be the driving force, as they are doing is multiple parameters can be miniatured and done on the same chip itself. So this will be also one driving force, that the multiple analytes can be monitored and tested on the same chip. So this will be also one driving force wherein the patient this further ahead, this will be one of the driving force wherein novel technologies are definitely innovations, and novel technology is one of the driving force for point of care testing in the years to come, actually.
I think taking that issue forward that was mentioned by Dr. Shalu, I think multiplexing is another area that has to be looked into, especially by the manufacturers. If you talk about the infectious diseases syndromes, there are multiple pathogens which can cause a similar kind of disease manifestation. So if you have a multiplexing approach where we can detect a specific pathogen causing that particular disease, then you can narrow down as far as the treatment is concerned, and the antibiotic stewardship could be helped by this particular approach, and unnecessary treatment and development of antimicrobial resistance can also be avoided. So again, I think multiplexing is another issue that can be looked into. Apart from this, I think for wider adoption of the POCT, particularly for infectious diseases, we have to integrate it with our primary healthcare delivery system. Only when we integrate with the primary healthcare delivery system, we have a good uptake of these PPP devices, particularly with regard to the infectious diseases. It's a big burden in our country, where the infrastructure is not available, and we can make use and leverage these devices having the assured criteria. WHO has come up with a criteria for classifying POCT device, which is given by an acronym that is assured that it should be affordable, sensitive, specific, user-friendly with lesser number of steps, rapid, within 30 minutes it should be able to perform the assay, robust, that is storage should be possible at the ambient temperatures, should not require any equipment, and finally it should be deliverable to the end user. So I think if you can search for assured tests with regard to infectious diseases and bring it to the periphery by integrating it to the primary healthcare system, then obviously we can leverage the advantage of these technologies where we really desperately need them to be working. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
I
Rohit. What a wonderful piece of information shared. And one more thing I can add here is what I was learning in a couple of years, that the research is going on using saliva as a sample, which is very easy to be used. And second,
Right.
urine sampling is again going to add, I think, more diagnostic kits based on these two body fluids. So
Body
thank you.
fluid.
Thank you, Dr. Neeta, for highlighting your comments on this issue. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Varsha Vadhera. Dr. Varsha is head of laboratory medicine and advanced diagnostic at Kokilaben Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital. Dr. Varsha, please give your notes on what are the various opportunities for growth of rapid diagnostic kits in the current scenario.
Um,
Over to Dr.
I
Varsha.
think we have all, in the last half an hour, discussed what are the benefits of the rapid diagnostic tests. And these are actually the drivers for opportunities for growth. In fact, if you see that the penetrance of rapid diagnostic tests during COVID has illustrated amply how important they are. And I'm sure all of us, in some way or the other, have used the rapid antigen test for COVID. I would just like to add that um, medicine or medical healthcare, what they want to do is that they want to use these rapid diagnostic tests as preliminary screening tests so that the treatment can be given immediately and person does not waste time on doing various other tests, and the treatment is avoided. So as a result, if you use these as preliminary screening tests, it helps tremendously. And this is one of the ways forward. Now, we have all seen that it helps in various infectious diseases, it helps biochemically in cardiac and in glucose, and various other tests are available where you get results within 15 to 20 minutes, and therefore the treatment is done. So primarily it is uh, the want of the clinician that will help us taking these tests forward. Secondly is that the healthcare clinics as well as hospitals are increasing in number, and they will all use these tests for various reasons that we have just enumerated, and as a result there is opportunity for growth. And new we are all now, and there is an aging population, therefore there are lots of chronic diseases, and also there's increase in infections, and travel is increased, so various different aspects of travel comes into the picture. And all this therefore increases the need for immediate diagnosis. Second is, of course, we mentioned rural areas or areas where there is less facilities available. Then we do need to attend to them too, which is not only in our country or in third world countries, but everywhere else. And their need will be definitely addressed by the rapid diagnostic tests. Epidemiological studies, these are also being done, and rapid diagnostic tests help. So, as a result, I think the opportunities are tremendous. What we have seen as that it has been quoted that in the next decade, it may increase by 7% to as much as 30 to 40% the total revenue of use of rapid diagnostic tests, which definitely shows that the opportunities are tremendous. The companies who manufacture them, they are also looking at giving better sensitivity and better specificity so that everybody is happy to use them and confidently use them. So I feel opportunities are plenty, and I think everybody is using them. And we look forward to having more of rapid diagnostic tests coming into play so that it, it helps in the clinician, the laboratory personnel, as well as the public in general.
Yeah, thank you, madam. I think you added a very new point to our discussion, that is the aging population is increasing in the country, and it would be very nice if we can think of them also. And these patients could be chronic patients having uncontrolled diabetes, and the complication of diabetes can also be monitored very well at home. Then the patients of CKD and so on and so forth. So that is really, in true sense, we have to think about it. Over to the house for discussion. Thank you.
I would say like immunology-based POCTs have to like complement the molecular POCTs. One example of this shift from immunology to molecular POCT could be like detection of GS, group A streptococci, which is used in for detection of pharyngitis in pediatric patients. It's involved in around 15 to 30% of the cases. While rapid antigen-based assays enable providers to make diagnosis in clinics, but they do lack sensitivity specificity as compared to the conventional culture assays. I believe culture assays as well as molecular POCTs for GS and similar such kind of diseases will definitely complement and propel the growth of POCT in general, including both molecular as well as immunology-based POCTs.
True. In fact, just to add to the point that has been made by Dr. Chug, we are using group A based antigen based testing in the clinics. And though the sensitivity may not be high, but the specificity is pretty good. So once you detect the antigen, your diagnosis is made. Only in such cases where in the physician's office you do the test and the test returns as negative, which could be because of the sensitivity issues, you do a reflex culture. So, as mentioned by Dr. Chok, we need to have a complementary approach rather than saying that one test is better than the other. You need to have a bouquet of tests and you pick out the advantages of each of those tests and bouquet. And at the end of the day, you want as accurate a result as possible. And if multiple testing strategies being adopted as a reflex testing can be that approach, then we should definitely adopt it. And we should not disregard our conventional tests. We should make use of our POCTs, and where they are not functioning that well, you can go in with the conventional assays and then have good accuracy at the end of the day.
Even in case of GS POCTs, Dr. Chawla, recently carbohydrate-based antigenic detection has been launched for GS, in addition to like normal peptide-based detection. Just for your information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe that nothing can beat the conventional approach in the laboratory-based investigations. Yes, but I think these two approaches can be complementary to each other. We see the best example when the rapid tests are done for COVID, but to make a final diagnosis, again we have to go to the lab and go back to the RT-PCR one to confirm it in 50% of the cases. So that itself suffices the need of laboratory-based investigations. Thank you. I think we can
So in
respect
fact,
the time and quickly move over to next topic. Is that fine? Now I invite Dr. Shalu Kapoor Dr. Shalu Kapoor is Chief Pathologist and Senior DGM at SRL Fortis Escorts Heart Institute. And Dr. Shalu, please share your points on what are the challenges and hindrances in using the rapid diagnostic kits in the current scenario. Over to Dr. Shalu.
Thanks for having me on this platform. And the point is that the challenges are basically not technological, but challenges are inherent within the healthcare system as such. And these challenges can be divided into four categories. They are at the level of device, they are at the level of patients, at the level of healthcare providers, as well as at the level of healthcare system as such. At the level of device, inaccurate results, as it has been mentioned till now also, is one of the issues which I'm sure Dr. Rohit will address in the coming. The point is that these inaccurate results can be because of inadequate QC protocols, inadequate calibrations, as well as there are factors that these results vary from the laboratory, the central labs. These are one of the issues which we have to address regarding inaccuracies of results. Other thing is high pricing of the point of care tests. The high pricing of point of care tests is basically because of high MRP or licensing issues, or because of most of these point of care tests are imported. So these cost per test of these point of care tests is definitely high. And this is issues which all the patients also raise, and even the hospital administration raises. Other thing is multiple recalls are there of regarding point of care tests. This is because of duplication of results at the time of various suppliers and all. And during the clinical trials, this causes the recall of most of the point of care tests, and this is issues with them. Other is the clinical relevance of these point of care tests. The very linkage of point of care tests with the diagnostic and clinical pathway is sometimes questionable. They are not integrated with the clinical flow as such, even till date, many of the point of care tests. This is issue with the point of care tests, which we have to address. And many point of care tests cannot go beyond biochemistry tests. They are not able to do the deep cellular analysis, although few lab on chip analysis are doing the cytometry analysis, but they are yet in the research mode only. And they are primarily, the point of care tests are usually doing the basic biochemistry tests only, and they are unable to identify pre-analytical errors like hemolyzed sample, icteric sample, or lipemic sample. And they are unable to give information regarding the patient condition, whether the patient is in fasting or postprandial. All these issues, they are not till date giving any detailed information. So this is definitely an issue which we have to address before we can really give a complete information about these point of care tests. Once again, I would raise the point is that the interconnectivity of these devices. This is one point, whether although the smartphone based devices or all kind of wearable devices are coming, but what about the interconnectivity of these devices? These devices are till date not interconnected. What about the data management of these devices? So these devices interconnectivity needs to be addressed. So as far as regarding the devices, these are the issues. Regarding the patients have many misconceptions about point of care tests. They have lack of awareness regarding the information. They have delayed of receipt of results. There is delayed of communication plan about the point of care tests. So these things at the level of patients need to be addressed. Coming to the healthcare providers, there is no training program as such regarding the healthcare providers. They are not having any type of programs, although the JCI and many of the, even NABH is still, and even today, NABL is having the point of care test addressing these issues. But till late, the training programs as such are not there for the, or accreditation is asking for the compliance of ISO 15189. But as such, hospitals as such are not having, many of the hospitals are not having training programs for the point of care testing also. Universal lack of training program regarding performance of test, lack of training programs regarding how to
some issues with the.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Can someone from the Elets check the
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Breaking too much.
Yeah, your voice is audible.
Yeah,
There's some
I
background
can hear
noise.
her very well.
Yeah, there are
There is some
issues
background
regarding,
noise.
We
Okay.
can hear you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Dr.
there are
Shalu.
issues regarding
So,
yeah the training program regarding the point of care tests are not there. Then lack of proficiency testing is not there. Lack of certification programs is there, and lack of awareness regarding digitization of data, that is also there regarding. And at the level of last but not the least, regarding healthcare providers, there is absence of engagement of program between healthcare providers, between the various stakeholders, and absence of oversight again. Yeah, a few issues at the level of regarding point of care testing, I think so. And of course, budgetary constraints and regulatory approvals delay, these are various issues which we face regarding point of care testing. I think so, sir. I'm audible now.
I'd like to just say one thing about
so
the
how would
training
you address
programs
this
that you said.
issue? Is there
About the training programs. Actually, the training program is
yes, madam.
within the hospital or within the lab, and you have to take the initiative to train, to check their competency, not just once at the time of taking on the job, but even regularly. And this is a part of the lab process that has to be done. If it is in the hospital and the nurses are doing it, then it happens as a hospital level, where the nurses have to be trained and checked for competency and compliance and monitored. That will be within the hospital's duty or protocol to do that. Secondly, digitization, yes, is difficult because it doesn't happen. There, the quality check, that we have to then define as to how frequently you do it. If you say every day of testing, that may be a difficult task, but then come to a conclusion that maybe once a week or whatever is the usage, that it will be done.
I'd like
The
to share
second,
a personal
Yeah,
experience. Sorry,
Yes,
are you
please.
done?
yeah, carry
Yeah.
on, carry on.
I'd like to share a personal experience about this. Mine is also a hospital based lab. And despite my resistance, the intensive care unit and the coronary care units wanted the ABG machine placed within the intensive care. So, with everything said and done, we said, okay, let's place it, and as a trial, we'll see how it goes. We trained the nurses, and we said, who's going to take care of calibration? Lab has to do it. Who's, of course, there's auto calibration. Who's going to take care of QC? Lab has to take care. Fair enough. Despite that, the problems always come in the middle of the night. And what happens is there is an emergency, there is a serious patient, there may be two serious patients, one has crashed. Do you expect the nurses to attend to the machine? They take the sample, lying there for some time, maybe there's a fine clot, machine gets clotted. Sure enough, the nurses started complaining and they were like, we are not going to look at this machine. We are basically attending to the patient. If the patient has crashed, we will take the sample. They want the ABG, machine cocked out. And then they had to run to the lab. So within a week, the ABG machine was shifted back to the lab saying the nurses said they are not going to attend to and address the problems that come up with the machine. And this goes for everything which is POCT placed outside the lab without the jurisdiction of the lab. So, despite the training that we may give to them 100 times, the only thing that they've accepted is the glucometer across a hospital, but running quality checks and calibration of the glucometer is the responsibility of a laboratory. So, as far as POCTs, whether it is the ER or the intensive care units, since the responsibility according to NABL, NABH lies with the lab, I think it is very important that we may talk about bedside testing, but as long as the bedside testing is done by a trained laboratory technologist who has been
Yeah.
trained and retrained and retrained,
So
I
this
think it's
is
very
one,
difficult
yeah.
to hand it over to the nurses.
and one more
Thank
This
thing
you.
is
is
there.
a challenge which
Yeah.
going to be there in certain scenarios.
And sir, one more
Yeah.
thing is there. The point is that
Yes,
of
Dr.
course
Sharma.
digitization is there, but the point the nurses are not aware when they have to dock the data from the to the EMR. All these things, awareness is lacking. Of course, digitization is there. tracking of data, all these things, and how the data has to be tracked further and for the retrieved at the time of follow-up. These things, awareness is lacking because of attrition of the nursing staff. And not only this is regarding the patients, it's the digitization of the records, even at the level of the periphery, that is also absent. So all these things, in not only in the hospitals, it's at the periphery also, we need to digitize. That was the point. In general, it is regarding this
Yeah, but
point of
you
care.
will appreciate that nurse's primary job is to take care of the patient. And secondly, with
Agree,
NABH and
agree.
NABL, there is so much documentation that they have to do that they
Definitely.
don't want an extra burden of running lab tests.
That's true.
You know, that's
Agree,
the
but
main point.
Yeah.
That is a
yeah,
major challenge
that
and
is
a
a major
major
challenge.
hindering factor.
Agree,
Absolutely.
agree.
Thank you, panelists. Now it is time to move on our next topic. I now want to invite Dr. Rohit Chawla, who is professor at the Department of Microbiology at Maulana Azad Medical College and Associated Hospital. Dr. Chawla, it would be very nice if you could highlight that how we can ensure quality control procedures and what are the factors that can affect the quality of results using the point of care testing devices and kits. Thank you. Dr. Rohit Chawla.
Yeah, I hope I'm audible. Thank you.
Yes, you are audible.
Question. We say that POC tests are simple to perform, but as the saying goes, anything which can go wrong will go wrong. So therefore, there's a lot of oversight which is involved for these tests also, even though we are saying that they are simple and easy to perform. Now, before I proceed to discussing quality issues of need to say the repercussion of suboptimal rapid test. I'm going to talk the concept of an infectious disease. So suppose your rapid test or POCT test gives a false negative. What could so the delay in the initiation of treatment. Delay in the initiation of treatment means the disease smolders on and it may get complicated at a later date because the patient did not get the right treatment when he or she approached for testing. More importantly, that person would continue to spread the infection. So that has got a public health importance attached to it. On the other hand, if you talk about a false positive result, which you get on POCT, it could lead to an unnecessary treatment. It could increase the cost of treatment because you are unnecessarily giving a treatment which actually was not positive. Highly sensitive diseases like an HIV or a sexually transmitted infection, a false positive result can wreak havoc. It has got its own stigmatization attached with HIV and STI. The patient may be labeled falsely positive. So these are the repercussions of false results, not only with our lab-based tests, but also for the rapid diagnostic test. And all of this actually can lead to loss in confidence over testing methodology. So therefore, we need to test that using whether it's lab-based test or RDT. Now, how to assure the quality of the diagnostic test is different ballgame together. So therefore, paper-based result is coming. So it is all the more reason that we need to have a quality assured result where you can rely on the operator who's performing the test to generate reliable results. And this quality as was mentioned by Dr. Their competency assessment becomes an important part of the whole quality ecosystem. External and internal controls have to be put up along with the assay, and these controls are part of the. Am I audible? Am I audible?
No, no, no.
Sometimes it is
Now,
going
yes,
and
but
coming.
you weren't all this while. Now, probably yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So what I was trying to say is that for assuring the quality of kits, we need to have both the internal quality control measures as well as the external quality assessment. With regard to the internal quality control measures, we need to have an SOP wherein you train the person in performing the assay as is required by the kit literature. We need to use both the internal controls which are supplied by the kit itself or within the kit box itself, and also the external controls to have added assurance. A unique aspect about POCT devices, particularly the flow-through assays, as well as the lateral flow assays, is the built-in controls. So that's not there with other devices. So we can make use of these built-in controls to have added level of satisfaction with regard to the reliability of results. Now, the built-in controls, they tell you either the addition of the reagents, or they tell you about the verification of the addition of the sample. And we've got with us the representative from the manufacturing setup, Dr. Chug. Particularly, I'd like to highlight this point. If the manufacturers can have a built-in control which checks for the addition of the sample, that would actually enhance the quality of your rapid test, particularly the flow-through devices as well as for the lateral flow devices, where sometimes there could be an error in addition of the sample. And if you have that control, we are reasonably assured that the sample was added and therefore the result that you're getting is on that sample. And sometimes you miss adding that sample and there is no way to actually get to know if you're testing, let's say, about 30 or 40 patient samples using a rapid testing device. Integrity of the sample again has to be ensured. We have to have a sample which wherein the integrity has been maintained. So therefore, the results that you're getting are for the analyte which was present in that particular sample. If the integrity of the sample is lost pre-analytics, then obviously everything else is futile, and that's the case with any test, including the RDTs.
I would like to answer your question, Dr. Chawla.
Let me finish.
Last
and then
5 years back, rapid lab evolved, and
Yeah.
at present, I guess whatever lateral flow devices are into the market will not get control band unless you incorporate sample into the device. Earlier, what was the case? Like with assay buffer, also you will get control
Yeah.
line. Nowadays, every manufacturer has switched over, and we have included some human IgG or other components into the control line, so that only if you incorporate the sample, you will get the control line. Otherwise, the test remains invalid.
The issue is that for the HIV tests that we have in the market and in the program, we are not getting those kits. So that's why we are actually pushing for specifically for the, if I take an example of an HIV testing kit, then obviously it will be a great advantage. We usually get this answer that the costs increase and that by this becomes an issue.
The test which we are selling, it does have sample incorporation as a mandate. Otherwise, control line will not come as possible.
That's actually very great to hear that your company is manufacturing such kind of assays. Finally,
not
I'd like
only
to say,
any other test that we are selling is having this facility. Like control will not come positive unless you add
the sample. Okay, great to hear. And then I will just switch to the external quality assessment. We need to have a robust system wherein the external quality assessment, as we do for a lab-based assay, is also done for the assays that are performed as POCT on POCT devices, and that would again have one more layer of quality attached to it. And finally, laboratory accreditation was touched upon by other panelists also. To have this comprehensive quality assurance mechanism can also only be assured by having a laboratory accreditation, which might be difficult for peripheral areas. For that, I believe many of the accrediting agencies have come in with the entry-level certification. So that again could be the starting point where even small labs in the periphery can get themselves certified at the entry level and then gradually increase and improve upon the quality once they are into that system. So these were my with regard to the quality of the RDTs.
Thank you, Dr. Chawla. very well addressed both internal and external issues regarding to quality. And when we say controlling something which is not under our control, basically is going to be a challenge. And we say in a laboratory setup, controlling the quality is always a hilarious task, because there are pre-examination, examination, and post-examination phases. Not so simple to control the quality. Anyway, thank you. So there is one change before we go back to Dr. Manoj. I think it is important to first listen to Dr. Monica Shashank. We all have spoken on certain things. So please allow me to first invite Dr. Monica Shashank. Dr. Monica is AVP Operations and Lab Director at Vimtha Laboratories Limited. Dr. Monica, how do you see the future of these rapid diagnostic kits? And you can quickly add what is the roadmap ahead in the rapid diagnostic kits market. Over to you, Dr. Monica.
Thanks, Dr. Hariom, and thanks, organizer, for inviting me for this panel discussion. As we discussed all ahead, the roadmap and the future of rapid diagnostic is very bright. We have already discussed that industry is growing, and with 10.8% CAGR, and will reach around $72 billion by 2027. So there is a huge potential. Decentralization definitely not only reduces the turnaround time, it lowers the initial default rates, it improves the communication, and it requires a less reliance on the logistics as well. So COVID has been an example in which we have informed time and again that how the diagnostics has evolved in times of COVID, right from rapid diagnostics through PCR technologies, where the turnaround time of 6 hours was reduced to less than an hour as the technology evolved during the COVID pandemic. I still remember my initial days in the diagnostic industry at Dr. Lal Path Lab, where we used to do conventional PCR, and the turnaround time for reporting was around 48 hours. So less than an hour is definitely a good thing in terms of the evolving of technology. We are talking about them making the test affordable also. So now the PCR test is available at the cost of CBC. So it is quite affordable. Rapid antigen testing and rapid testing for antibodies of COVID also has been made affordable, and now it is getting sold at over the counters now. So this is the solution. There are various technologies which have been used, but like earlier said by Dr. Shalu, that microfluidics, a lab on chip, is an emerging rapid diagnostic technology. Then molecular biology is definitely taking up its space, where various equipments. One of the thing is Gene Expert, which was globally tested to curb the TB infection in high incident rates countries, and now it is available all across the country in India to check the samples of MDR and XTR, and it gives the results in 2 hours time. So just have the cassette and give the sample, and that's all you are having the results. Then there's a instrument called as BioFire, where film array panels are available, which gives the pathogen resistance genes in 1.5 hours time. So yes, diagnostics is evolving, and we are having the molecular testing evolving to give various tests in less than an hour's time, or rapid diagnostics. Not only at the point of care, centralized laboratories are also working towards giving the better turnaround time, maintaining the accuracy of reporting. We have Accelerate Pheno platform, where antimicrobial susceptibility from blood culture is available in 7 hours time. Multiplexing is available for systemic infections. Even NGS technology, which used to give library reading in 21 days time, has evolved to give the results in 48 hours time. So the cancer patients and any other diagnosis for infectious or other lifestyle disorders, this is definitely a boon. Even like I said earlier also, the sample collection devices and processes, they have been simplified now, from invasive blood-based technologies to non-invasive samples like saliva, oral fluids, urine. They are being tested to give the sample collection, which can be done at home settings or by minimally trained healthcare personnel, like community healthcare workers. I would like to name a few companies. Like OraSure is a US-based company which has developed product, and it's still in the research stage, and they will be soon marketing it for detection of HBV, HCV, and HIV from oral fluid. It's a simple sample collection device which can be used at home. You put the swab between the cheeks, and then put the sample, and then you will get the results. So you can maintain the confidentiality as also, and you get the results also. In the oral screening also, some developments are happening. Oral cancer screening, using gargling the water and putting it in the device, and the results can be read. So development are there on this side. Smartphone has become a universal positions now, and telepathology is being explored. And in addition to what Dr. Shalu was saying, that it is being explored to be used to link with the point of care testing, and use for telepathology from the laboratory side. AI and machine learning has shown its importance during the COVID pandemic time. AI algorithm has been used to treat the patient and diagnose the patient also. So definitely the technologies are evolving, and I would see the roadmap is that the development industry, the research and development team, clinicians, laboratory, they should come together on a common platform to think about the requirements which we need in the rapid diagnostics. Like Dr. Basha was rightly saying that we have an aging population, and rapid diagnostics towards chronic disease will be helpful. So at the end of the day, we need an affordable, accurate, and ease of testing for every patient, so that we can pass on the benefit of earlier testing to the patients. That's what I would like to say from my side.
Thank you, Dr. Monica. But please, as you said, I think the future is very, very bright for the rapid diagnostic kit market. But from a common man's point of view, when I was discussing and learning from each one of you, as a common man's question, please do answer that why you are texting me double. First you want me to go for a rapid test, and then you say this test is need to be followed by a confirmatory test. So when he says I'm paying double, I'm getting these two time tested. So how do you answer to that, and how we can satisfy this kind of segment and this kind of simple query to a layman, Dr. Monica?
So definitely, the development has to be towards a side where we can make the simple rapid diagnostic test at par with the quality what we are offering to the standard conventional methodologies, where the turnaround time is also reduced, ease of testing is also there, and we are getting the accurate result as well. So a lot has come up from the earlier initial days, and I see molecular testing is the way forward to give up that solution, where we can have one single simple test, and we can have a solution for the patient with one single testing also.
Comments are invited from all the panelists, please, on this
I would
particular issue.
say the test kit there should be safety, quality, performance, cost effectiveness, and validated for the population for whom they are being used. That would take care of the rapid diagnostic kits way forward. Thank you.
I believe that the rapid diagnosis.
Could you hear me?
Please.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that was it. I don't want to say more.
Okay, so thank you once again. And as we are heading towards the end of this session, the last comment from Dr. Manoj Chuk regarding the policy interventions that can further assist in the growth of these rapid diagnostic kits, Dr. Chuk, how you would like to address this issue? Over to Dr. Chuk.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Sharma. This is really important. COVID-19 has exposed what was lacking and has revealed what is now present and possible in diagnostic testing. COVID-19, I would say, as a scientist, COVID pandemic brought strength of our science and technology to forefront. Whereas I would like to enumerate some of the points, some of the policy interventions we could recommend. Number one would be like to keep check on pseudo manufacturers. There are several manufacturers who just bring in the bulk uncut sheets. They just pack it and sell it. Even they don't do the quality check in house. Second, I would like to highlight is fake certification, especially the CE, which is self-certified. They are undermining efforts of genuine certified manufacturers. Third, I would say like strong monitoring mechanisms. See, at the moment, the policy is like whenever a developer develops a test, it has to be submitted to ICMR for evaluation. But then you get the manufacturing license, and then you are free to sell almost anything. They don't care, you know. So what I suggest is there should be some post-marketing surveillance data which needs to be collected, and it should be added with random testing, or at least for quality certification when the rapids are purchased, at least for bulk tenders. We have seen like quality getting degraded once the approvals are sought. Next, I would say regulatory guidelines. If you see currently, the Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940, it regulates the import, manufacture, distribution, and sales of drugs, cosmetics, and medical devices. I know that government is working in order to draft a new law to regulate de novo drugs and cosmetics, including medical devices. They are doing it to include some of the points which were missed earlier, like emergency use authorization or clinical trials. However, med device industry, as a representative, I would say that we support Niti Aayog's 2019's report or the draft, which we feel was in right direction because it's segregated, and they suggested government of India to come up with different separate bills for IVD and for drugs. Next, I would come to pricing policies. See, we cap the prices very efficiently and very early. See, the producer must be incentivized to innovate, right? Otherwise, nobody is here to lose losses. It often takes years of toil, countless man hours, along with millions of dollars of investment, right, for innovation to succeed and to bring something substantial into the market. I do understand that as a developing country, we need to keep pricing within control and keep diagnostics accessible and affordable to masses. However, I suggest there should be some balance so that the development and innovation can thrive as well. Last point I would like to make is speed of approval. If you see, being two agencies, ICMR and CDSCO, I understand CDSCO on itself is doing a lot. They have come up with an online portal. They have clearly laid down MDR 17 guidelines. However, if you see the state FDAs, they do not have any restrictions with respect to timelines. If you submit a test, they are not restricted, like within 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, they have to answer at least. They can take year, like it is all on their whims and fancies. So these are some of the points which can be touched upon and are serious recommendations to be made. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Very well explained the points of Niti Aayog and the Drug and Cosmetic Acts, etc. And they are working in this direction, so we can always feel the future is so bright. Any other comments on this
I
point?
think
From the
a very important
panelists?
point that we need to have is that the clinical trial data that they include as part of the package insert, if you see, it's a marked variation. In some tests, they do the clinical trial on 10 samples and give sensitivity and specificity 100% each. While another company who's invested so much in the development of the assay, they've done a proper clinical trial. They give you sensitivity, specificity as analytical sensitivity and specificity. They give you a PPV, NPV, and you can see the difference. But then there is no distinction between between a manufacturer which does a lot of effort, puts in a lot of money to generate this wonderful data on which we can work, versus a supplier which is just giving you clinical trial data on 10 samples. So there is no, I think, a level playing field for a manufacturer who's doing a good job versus the one which is not really doing justice to the kit that they are bringing into the market. So that's another issue
Exactly, and
that
that
requires a
at the
regulatory.
end it boils down to the pricing at GEM. Whosoever is quoting at the least gets the tender. So
Absolutely, very
Absolutely.
true.
Yeah,
That is
absolutely.
why we need good regulatory bodies to regulate this, and it should be uniform throughout the country. Otherwise, it just does. Like you said, the one who has maximum research is going to price it higher, but in
Exactly,
the
because the
price
investment has
fall,
gone into it.
because somebody else will be cheaper.
I think
Like,
So
the
that
there
is
is
way we
information
treat,
So this
asymmetry
is
also.
time to
There is information asymmetry basically. The information asymmetry is one of the reasons that the information is not provided to the consumers as such. This is also one of the reasons. There should be POCT initiatives also that the information is spread to all, and that is and on basis of that the consumers can purchase and there should be monitoring also based on this information, and regulation should also be there. Definitely, as Dr. Neeta has said, the regulatory bodies should be more strict about purchase and all these things, buying and all. Then only
I
there will
think
be
the
better.
way we tightly regulate the
Research.
vaccine market and the pharmaceuticals, the same tight regulation has to go in for your diagnostics. That's the way forward, I believe.
So, okay. Now I
Yes.
think we can ask Ms. Chawla if there are any questions from the audience. Over to Kanchi.
Yeah.
Can you hear
Thank you.
us?
So thank you so much, Dr. Hariom Sharma, for your wonderful moderation. Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Hello.
Go on.
Are there any questions from the audience?
Yeah. Yeah.
The House will be
Thank
very
you
happy
so
to
much,
answer.
Doctor. No, sir. No asking questions from. So
So can we summarize that
I'm
rapid
sorry.
diagnostic tests will
Yeah.
grow at a swift
okay,
pace in the
so we
years
do
to
not
come?
have any questions from the panelists.
Yeah.
Yes, Varsha, I think that's very pertinent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So before we
Yeah.
move ahead, I think there are few quick points where the beauty is there. It's amazing market, amazing facility, but the key points which came difficulty in early stage diagnosis, and there is no distinction between new and treated infections. In some cases, lower sensitivity, subjective interpretation, and sometimes gene mutations are challenged to find out them, and species differentiation is sometimes not possible, maybe in case of malaria. These are a couple of things, but in spite of that, rapid diagnostic kit market or POCT is a wonderful tool for the overall healthcare management system, and it is in the benefit of early diagnosis and treatment of patients and the problems they are facing. So the concluding remarks. Dr. Varsha, you were saying something.
No, I reiterated what you said just now, and I agree with you that it will grow at a swift pace, despite all its limitations, challenges, and false positivity, false negativity, but it will still grow. Thank you.
It will grow.
I think to conclude, I think the rapid diagnostic tests are here to stay. And if we want to bring in newer rapid diagnostics, particularly with
Yes,
regard to infectious diseases, we need to follow a bottom-up approach instead of a top-down approach where we trust the assay and then see how it performs. Instead, we need to have an input from the end user with regard to the essay that they want and what are the issues that they are facing, and then develop on the technologies and bringing them more aligned to the assured criteria, and that I think would enhance the acceptability of these rapid diagnostic tests. Thank you.
agree with you. Yes.
Integrate
So the industry and the
integration.
laboratory personnel have to work together hand in hand to get the kits.
Integration.
Yeah, go on, Dr. Shalu.
Integration of POCTs or rapid diagnostics with the clinical flow requires a multidimensional as well as a multimodal approach, wherein one important thing is all the stakeholders need to be engaged, be it the policy makers, be it the healthcare providers, as well as the consumers as such, for the seamless growth of the rapid diagnostic industry. That is the take home message from my side.
I would like to thank the panelists, learned pathologists. I thoroughly enjoyed this talk. And we would like to invite all of you to be our key opinion leaders and help us, guide us developing these rapid diagnostic tests. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj, and
So
thank
at
you,
the
Dr.
outset,
Elets,
yeah, thank
for
you.
having this discussion.
Anyone else? Dr. Monica? So at the outset, I want to thank each and everyone here the panelists, the learned scientists, and all the pathologists which are having vast experience in their own field. So thank you very much for answering all the pointers and the queries which were raised. It was a wonderful discussion which added a lot to the existing knowledge what we were having individually. So collectively, I think we want to say that the future is very bright for point of care testing and rapid diagnostic kits market. Thank you, Elets team. Thank you, everyone, for providing us this platform. Thank you once again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
you,
Dr.
everyone.
Sharma.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very
It was
much.
wonderful
Thank you.
having you as the coordinator panelist.
And thank you so much,
Yes.
Dr. Hariom Sharma, for your Thank you so much to all panelists for their insightful views on the scope and challenges in the diagnostic kits market. We would like to inform our esteemed gatherers about upcoming events, which are the 4th Pharma Leadership Summit on the 26th and 27th of April, the 3rd Radiology and Imaging Summit on the 20th and 27th of and Medical Education Summit on the 23rd and 24th of June. We look forward for your constant support. I want to extend my warm gratitude to all our esteemed panelists for their presence. Please accept a small token of gratitude from our end through these certificates. Dr. Home Sharma, for moderating the second. Dr. for sharing. Thank you so much. Dr. Shalu Kapoor, for your thoughts on the panel discussion. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks.
Dr. Rohit Chawla. Dr. Rohit Chawla, thank you for your views, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Monica Shashank, for your insightful points on the discussion. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Neeta Munshi, thank you for sharing your points, ma'am.
Thank you.
And Dr. Manoj Chuk for his views. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. It was great listening to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, all the
Thank you.
panelists, and
Thank you.
I hope
Thank you.
we stay connected.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. Good day to everyone. Nice connecting with everybody. Bye bye.
Thank you. Nice connecting with
Good
all
day
of
to
you.
you, ma'am.